I don't read an entire book every single day. I don't journal every day. I don't meditate. And on top of that, I don't believe in the law of attraction. I know it sounds crazy because everyone kind of says the opposite thing here on YouTube. But what I have noticed is that when it comes to becoming successful and financially free, and I'm also debt free, by the way, which is very important, it's all down to tiny habits. And in this video, I'm going to share with you guys 25 tiny habits that I basically developed over time. And when I'm doing them, my life is a lot better. And when I'm not doing them, my life is a lot worse off. So let's get right into it.
Number 1, action first, feelings second.
This by far is one of the most important habits that I had to learn, that I know the right thing to do. The problem is that sometimes I wait until I feel like doing it. Don't do that. Do the thing you know you have to do and then wait for the feeling later. If you know you have to read a book, read it and then wait until you actually get into it later. When you get into an argument with your partner, well, instead of being mad and angry, be loving to that person. Don't wait until you feel like being loving.
Number 2, become comfortable with being disliked.
I know. Everyone likes to be liked, whether you say it or whether you deny it. You know, I don't like being disliked by people. I'm not going out there and looking for problems. But the reality is, I'm not going to agree with something that I disagree with strongly just to remain in peace or just so I don't hurt your feelings. And sometimes that gets you into trouble and people might not even like you, but that's fine. You're not supposed to be liked by everyone. No one is. I mean, think about it, right? There's a big basketball game. You have two teams, one people basically like one team, the other people like the other team. It's just how it works, okay? So don't be afraid to be disliked because of your opinion and what you're actually doing. It's fine. It's a part of the game.
Number 3, do not be a disciple. Be a student.
The difference between a disciple and a student is that a disciple might have questions, but they do not question. Meaning basically that when I'm reading my Bible and I'm basically seeing what the Lord says, I may have questions, but I'm not going to question the Lord. But that place of honor is only reserved for God, but every single thing else, from every single investment book I basically ever read, every single big guru I've heard, I question everything they say, and some things I take and some things I basically just leave because no one knows everything. And sometimes people have a good opinion about something, but they might not be right about something else. So be a student, a learner, but do not be a disciple of anyone except for God, of course. That's different.
Number 4, ask why.
I had a lot of people that whenever I would share with them my opinion or they were trying to tell me what to do, I would basically just listen and say, okay, or I'm not doing it. But what I've learned these days is to just ask why. Why do you want me to go to college? Why are you saying that living in a homestead is a bad idea? Why do I need to live in the US, okay? And people will start to basically just freeze. You ask somebody why, and they're like, well, I don't know why. You're supposed to go to college because it's just what you do. You're supposed to be in the US because the US is just better. You're supposed to not want to live on a farm because living in a town is better. But you kind of find out that people don't really have any conviction behind their statements. They're just parroting in the sense just repeating what they heard somebody else say from their culture, from their upbringing, and they're trying to pass that on to you. But when you ask why, it interrupts everything and it makes them think for a second. Why are you telling me to do something that you have no idea why you're telling me to do it?
Number 5, read a book a day or the same book every day.
Now, I have a lot of books, but this is one of the biggest books I actually have. I never thought I was going to be able to read a book of this magnitude. It's called Security and Analysis. But the truth is that every single book, no matter how big it is, you can read it. The thing is, you're not going to read it in one day, and sometimes you can, but the next day you don't know what the heck you read. But if you just read 10 pages a day, every single day, Before you know it, you are going to be done with the book. This book has about 900 pages. I read this book twice. I spent about 3 to 4 hours every single day actually reading it. And the truth is, you start to build stamina. I recommend you start off just by reading 10 pages for the first week, then 11 pages, then 15. And obviously, you're trying to build up your reading muscle, the stamina to focus, to concentrate, to give your attention to something that doesn't have lights or screen and is not trying to get your attention for the most part.
Number 6, eliminate envy.
Now, you might say, I don't have any envy. I don't care about anyone else, okay? But the truth is, when you're on social media and you're looking at all these rich people and they have gold chains, or they're telling you about, I'm financially free, I have the Tesla, I have this car. Before you know it, you are designing a life based on what you're seeing on social media. And in reality, that is a form of envy. It's you chasing and wanting things, not because you actually want them, but because you think you want them because you saw somebody else with it. That happened to me a lot. I wanted a big house, I wanted a Porsche, and my reaction wasn't, hey, I hate these people that have it. My reaction was more like, I want to work so hard towards it because I know I can do it. You see? But in reality, it was just envy, because the only reason I wanted those things was because I saw other people with it, not because I really wanted it.
Number 7, work in blocks. Deep work.
So I read this book a while back. It was called Deep Work by Carl Newport, if I'm not mistaken. And he spoke about you need to focus when you're working. And the best way to do that is to basically divide your time in blocks. Now, I do 90 minutes of work and 15 minutes of rest. Now, there is a key element here. You cannot work and focus if you have this thing next to you. If you have any distractions, you need to put them away. So whenever I'm going to work, I put on my timer, I put my phone away, and I basically just lock in for 90 minutes. And that's the whole idea. And you're able to get so much work done. Reality is, you can probably only do this 3 to 4 times, like 3 to 4 rounds for the most part, because you are going to be completely worn out once you're done focusing for that long. But it's what works best for me, and it's awesome.
Number 8, limit screen time. According to recent data, the average person spends about 4 hours and 37 minutes on their phone every day. That's about 1 day per week, or 6 days per month, or about 70 days every single year. That basically means you are addicted and you have a problem.
Now, this is how crazy using a cell phone actually is. If you spend more than 2 hours or 4 hours a day on your phone or laptop or computer, you're spending way too much time on it. Just for this bit, I grabbed my uncle's iPhone 16 and I was going on Instagram. All of a sudden, I was stuck on Instagram for like almost half an hour. These things are designed to be attractive, to be colorful, to get your attention. While, for example, having to get a book and to actually read it, it takes a lot of effort because books are not designed that way. You have to literally give your attention to a book. If you spend more than 2 hours a day on a phone, you have to learn to limit that time. And it's not like I do productive things on here. For the most part, none of us can really be productive when we're given so many things that actually just click in our brains and make us addicted to it. So try to get your phone use to less than 2 hours, and then eventually try to only use your phone as just like a communication device. These things can be a massive waste of time, and they're designed to do that. And you do not get smarter, you get dumber.
Number 9, teach people instead of doing things for them.
Delegation is such an important way to actually become successful. There's a saying that says, if you give a man a fish, they eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, they eat for a lifetime. But it's a lot more work to teach someone to fish than it is just to hand them a fish. But it is 100% worth it. I have people around me that always ask me questions, and instead of basically giving them an answer and then having more questions come in, I give them wisdom. Here are the books I've read, the people I watched, what I studied. Go learn and come back with more questions, But that way, you're a lot better off.
Number 10, share your plans and ideas with the right people.
Now, this does not mean that if you share an idea with someone and they shut it down, that they're bad and they're no good and you should never share your ideas with them. No, you have good people that have smart minds and are going to judge your ideas accurately and tell you that idea is not that good, and they're going to poke holes in it. But you have to be careful in sharing your good ideas with people that have no clue about the idea. They just have opinions and opinions and opinions. And I've done that in the past. I did that when I was looking for some land to buy for a homestead, and everyone was telling me, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And these were all people that had no knowledge when it came to land or living in a homestead or having animals, but they were just sharing their opinions, and that hurts. That hurts. So you want to share your opinions and your plans with people that get it, and they can critique you, but they critique you based on good judgment and experience, not based on, I just don't like that idea.
Number 11, take decisive action. You can always change your mind.
A lot of times people don't make decisive decisions to basically do something they want to do because they get embarrassed with the thought of, well, what if I get started and then I don't finish, or then I don't want to do it? You are going to be embarrassed. And sometimes that embarrassment is well deserved. You said you were going to do something, you can do something, but now all of a sudden you're basically quitting. But that does not mean you should not get started. I'll tell you guys a very personal story, okay? At one point, I made a decision, okay? And then while I was living that decision, I was like, why the heck am I doing this? This is so much work. I don't need to do this. And long term, the amount of effort I'm putting into this is it's not really going to equal a substantial amount of output. It's like investing a ton of money in a business and time, and then what you get back is not worth it, okay? And you don't need the money. So I said, I'm not gonna do this. I'm done, okay? And people were mad and they were upset, but the truth is, those people were not going to run the business. They were not going to do the task. So who cares what they think? And that's how you get disliked for the most part. But you have to make decisions, and you cannot be afraid to try just because of failure or embarrassment of other people that in reality, they're not really going to help you or give you anything substantial, okay?
Number 12, automate investing. Dollar cost average.
It's been almost a decade, not almost, it's been a decade since I started investing now, which is amazing. But these days, my investment strategy is a lot more boring. In what sense? I don't really think about my investments. I have one investment, I'll tell you, it's called the S&P 500, and that is the 500 top companies in the US. That's all I invest into. I have the ETF, and basically, every single month, I invest the same amount of money. They call that dollar cost average because at the end of the year, you just bought at the average annual price because you bought the same investment every single month consistently, and you got the average at the end.
Number 13, learn to teach yourself.
Obviously, behind here, I have a lot of books, right? But what I've learned is that I went to college for 4 years to learn accounting, and I feel like I graduated with very little knowledge. I feel like I could have learned everything I learned in college with just a few textbooks and just a little elbow grease, okay? You don't need to go to college. You don't need to take a bunch of courses. You don't need to pay somebody else to teach you. You don't need a tutor. You can be self-taught. And that's how I basically learned how to do YouTube. I watch YouTube videos about how to YouTube. I watch videos about how to work this camera, and I basically read a ton of books, over 200 books on money and finance, to then get the amount of knowledge I basically have today. But no one was teaching me. No one sat down with me and said, Tommy, you need to do things this way. No, you learn. You're capable of learning, okay? If you can get a mentor, great. But if you can't get a mentor, who cares? You can still learn and you can still make it happen, okay?
Number 14, track your expenses.
No matter how much money you get, you always need to track your expenses. Whenever I stop tracking my expenses and using my budget, things just go AWOL. I'm like, hey, where did the money go? All right. You always, always, always need to track your expenses. You know, finances for me is like brushing my teeth. No matter how white my teeth get, if I stop brushing them, I'm going to get cavities.
Number 15, read different books.
I think for the most part, no one likes to talk to someone that only knows about one thing, you know, like specializes just in one thing and can't think about anything else, okay? So yes, I like reading financial books, but I also like reading books about diets. I also like reading books about sports. This is Kobe Bryant, okay? I also like reading, for example, comedies and fiction. I was not always like this. I used to be all about, well, if it's not gonna make me money, if it's not going to improve me, then why do I need to waste my time on reading those books? Well, I've learned that history books, biography books, comedy books, great works of arts books, all those things make you a more rounded person. Now, this is free for the most part, right? Because I can buy used books for like $10. But if I'm going to college, no one can tell me spending 2 years and spending like over 50 grand is going to make me a more rounded person. No, I don't care about that. Give me the good information, but you should read books that aren't just based on your subject. This will expand your mind, and this way your brain can make connections that you did not think were possible by you having all this extra information.
Number 16, the quality control rule.
QC stands for quality control, and it means that everything you do in your life should have a level of quality, especially when it comes to your nutrition. Make sure you're eating quality foods, but especially when it comes to your time. Make sure what you are consuming are quality consumptions, okay? So that basically means that if you are just consuming a bunch of garbage, trash, podcasts, music, and TV all day, even for 4 hours a day, you are going to have a large amount of garbage in your head. But when your entertainment is, for example, quality controls, like, hey, I listen to music, but this is good music. I watch movies, but these are classics. But don't get stuck in entertainment, because even quality entertainment is still garbage entertainment if you do too much of it and you do nothing with it, okay? Be careful with that, but have a level of quality control with everything you do.
Number 17, build brotherhoods.
People just basically don't care about relationships these days, but relationships are everything. Relationships build community. That's how you basically are a part of something, okay? You don't want to be a loner. You don't want to be the person without any friends. You know, this month or last 2 months ago, whatever, I had to leave Dominican Republic for about 2 months. I left my friend here in my house with all of my goods, and I was not worried 1 second. Whenever I have troubles or issues, I call one of my guy friends and he's right there with me. You have to have quality people around you that you basically trust and you can basically call, and you guys basically are just there for each other. And by the way, this means that when you have low level friendships, let them go. Invest into high quality friendships. Basically saying, if you have a person you talk to once every single birthday and you talk to them every now and then, just stop talking to them, okay? Try to make a connection if you want to, make it deeper, but have deep connections. Invest in those deep connections, because those are the ones that are going to pay off in the end. Not connections for the sake of having money or getting something in return, but connections for the sake of having deep intimacy with people. Human beings, we need that, okay? Very important.
Number 18, limit or eliminate bad company.
I say limit because when you have family members that are not good company, you can't really eliminate them. Doesn't look good and it's not the right thing to do. But you can limit the amount of time you spend with them. You want to eliminate certain people, and it's not just, hey, I have a friend that he steals, he's in a gang, he robs, he does this. No, it might be also the friend that you give solutions to and they're not interested. They're lazy. They're not doing anything with their lives. All they talk about is nonsense, and their only accomplishment in life are the trophies they have in their PlayStation account, okay? So I recommend, if you have people around you that you care but you have to cut off or limit time with, don't cut off them or limit your time with them without giving them keys, okay? So I recommend, tell them the books you read, the videos you watched, and what you've learned, and you kind of just give them time and you let those things kind of season and bubble in their minds, okay? And before you know it, they might come back and they might not be a friend that you have to eliminate anymore, but someone you actually want to grow with, which is very important. And not all your friends have to be like all about money, okay? Some people you'll have around you and they're good people to have around you, even though they're not into everything you're into.
Number 19, write down your goals.
If you don't know where you want to go, well, you already arrived. That's something that's been said a long time ago, and is very true still till this day. And the idea is you want to write down your goals. If you don't write down your goals, well, what are you actually doing and why are you doing it for? And how do you measure your progress? You just don't, okay? And I find myself a lot of times where I don't have any goals and I'm just basically like roaming around and I'm just like, okay, what am I going to do this week? Okay. But having clear goals that you can actually accomplish, goals that are going to be this month, 1 year, 5 years, long term, those things matter a lot.
Number 20, network with billionaires.
Now, I've been mentored by probably like maybe like 5 or 10 billionaires for the most part. And you're probably saying, Tommy, that's why you're wealthy and that's why you're financially free at such a young age. The answer is no. I'm just basically talking nonsense for the most part. No, the truth is I've never spoken to these people, but I've been mentored by them because these people have written legitimate books, okay? And they put all their knowledge in books, and I watched their interviews. So people like Benjamin Graham, like Peter Lynch, like Warren Buffett, like Charlie Munger, and other rich people out there, I've read their books, I've seen their works, and that's how I basically got mentored by them. When you're young, especially like when I was young, I was craving a father figure and also someone that could sit down with me and teach me everything, okay? Sometimes people are not going to take the time to do that with you. Sometimes you just don't know anyone around you. So you have to do what you got to do with what you have. And what I had was a lot of books, a lot of free time, and I put my time and my energy into that. And that's how I got mentored by billionaires.
Number 21, yes means no.
I always thought, and I grew up in a poor household where if there's an opportunity, you have to say yes. You take it, you take it, you take it. But the truth is, whenever you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. It's true, okay? I said yes to this promotion to get this job to make more money, but it's also more time and more stress. So I'm saying no to my wife, I'm saying no to my kid, and I'm just not going to spend time with them because I no longer have that time anymore. When I was in Puerto Rico and I was saying yes to saving a lot of money, I was also saying no to spending more time with my family and me also being more happy.
Number 22, exercise for 30 minutes daily.
I've seen people that are rich and super unhealthy, people that are super healthy in the gym and super broke because of their bad habits. So the point is, you want to work out, not because it's going to make you look fit, but because you're literally, your health is a big part of your life. It's the most important part of your life, okay? You can be broke, but you don't want to be broke and unhealthy. You can be rich, but you don't want to be rich and unhealthy because it's just such a massive devastation when you're losing everything because of your bad health, okay? And when you're older, I've seen a lot like people just fall apart. You don't want to be that. So exercise for a minimum of 30 minutes every single day at home, in a gym, in the streets, wherever you can. Just try to sweat every single day and have at least one rest day.
Number 23, focus on longevity.
Now, this is so important because a lot of the times we think success is just going to be one or two big things that you do, and all of a sudden now you're Mr. Wealthy. The truth is, it's a marathon. It is all about longevity. You go to the gym today, you come back today, you're still fat. You invest $10, you come back home, you're still poor. All right, but you keep doing these things for a long, long time, and all of a sudden you're wealthy. All of a sudden you're healthy, and you do these habits, and not just for today or for tomorrow or for this month, but over a lifetime, and all of a sudden your entire life basically changes. That's the longevity mindset.
Number 24, quality free time.
Now, I always thought that my free time had to be spent with what we call relaxing. Relaxing to me meant, for example, watching Netflix, playing a video game or whatever. But surprisingly, when I would be done with the video game and when I'd be done watching Netflix, I would just feel even more drained and more tired. So I found out about quality free time, which basically means spend that free time doing something that is quality based, but also allows your mind to kind of roam free. So for me, that's like planting plants or trying to DIY something that I'm building or trying to learn a new skill or maybe even reading a book or something like that that's not based on my craft, but more based on something else that allows my mind to kind of roam and just enter that story, okay? So spend your quality time or your quality free time doing quality things, okay? And I guarantee it might sound like you're doing more work, but you will feel a lot better and a lot more energized when you spend your free time doing things like that.
Number 25, learn to do it yourself.
In a way, this comes down to independence, and I learned how to invest myself. I learned how to make videos myself, but I didn't just stop there. I'm constantly trying to learn how to do things that I admire myself. So that might mean for me right now, I'm learning how to literally make like soap in my house, okay? Knowledge is not just being like good at one thing, but when you get good at multiple things, that's how you kind of become a whole person in a sense. So how I recommend you do this and how I recommend you learn how to do things yourself is try to learn to do the things that interest you the most yourself from scratch. If you like a certain food, figure out how it works. If you like certain things, figure out how they work. Now, in conclusion, guys, all you have to do is just follow rule 1. Action first, emotion later.
Money is flowing to me now. The universe delivers money to me.